afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast Addendum with me, your host Imperial Dane, talking about something I kind of want to see in the future. Companies 3, not a big deal, nothing sort of mechanical, but I still think something really nice to see, something I've wanted like forever, to be honest. Model variation. We kind of got a very tiny bit in Companies 2 with the T-3476s, where basically there's like the version without fuel drums stuck in the back, and there's a version with fuel drums on the back, and well, that's about it, really. There's also, I think, some slight variations on the Wehrmacht sniper in the snow, where like he's got maybe a few different types of caps, and that's about it, really. Like, I don't think there's much more sort of like really serious variation. Well, that and these snipers, obviously, for the Soviets, being that's like also voicing and such. So, but at the same time, there's like not really where I think where I would really want. That's infantry. I'd really love some model variations for the infantry. And again, those are really doing most of the carrying, most of the work. I think that's really where model variation really needs to do the most work in terms of just sheer effort and then reward for it in terms of gameplay, just the visual effect. It would certainly also help make the Grenadiers here look a lot less dumpy, if there was at least some variation into the uniforms and how they looked. And I remember one thing was like, well, people will not be able to tell the stuff apart. Well, yeah, no, it doesn't have to like be, they completely change to something entirely different. Like, you can still like have, model variations still have them sort of look reasonably the same. It's just, be for example, they could have different helmets. Like some might have, no camouflage patterns. Some might have different types of camouflage. Some might just be covered in dirt, or they might even use caps. Hell, there could be some guy without a helmet because the idiot lost it. I mean, that's, for example, just one way of just easily breaking it up. They could also be slightly different kit they're carrying. Some might be carrying around, machine gun belt for the machine guns, machine gun ammunition, or some extra kit of some other sort. Might be slightly different. It might be a different pattern. There's a lot of these, smaller ways you can do. It's like, off-color variations of the uniforms, like, maybe he got an older uniform, particularly for the Wehrmacht, like, that sort of became a thing later into the war, like, they just got sort of slightly different patterns of uniforms, and the quality of the, making was also dropping rapidly. So that, for example, also a way they could have done it there. Like, there's a lot of these sort of smaller ways. They could also be carrying around trophies, stolen equipment. In that way, maybe there's a slung, I don't know, pistol or submachine gun they're obviously not going to use for whatever reasons, but could just be there sort of like nice little trophy. So I mean, those are ways as well to just create this sort of semblance of them being more actual human beings rather than just models in a computer game. And again, help create that illusion of this is war, this is really cool stuff and all that. And again, I do really personally feel like that motivation would help a ton. Again, they could also with the tanks, there could be slightly different, slightly types of stowage. Again, like the T-34 set fuel drums on them. I mean, that's pretty easy to do. It could be just, how tracks are placed on the tank. It could be different types of, armoured skirts for the panzers. It could be just, loot that had been slung over the tanks like the T-34s and the Sherman tanks did. Or it could be, travelling kit, which was also having, the Stugs and Panther 4s and the likes. I mean, there's a lot of ways that way just, make the things, stand out a bit more, stand out as being a bit more unique, and depending on the food, they could even have like improvised camouflage on the tanks. Just some twigs and bushes strapped to the tank, just again that way, make it stand out a bit more. So I mean, those are ways in which point you can just make things stand out a bit more visually, make things more interesting, and again just help create this illusion of war, rather than just again having just everything being the same model, which again gets at some point again can get a bit visually dull and sort of long term just slow down the excitement. Hell, back in Companies 1 and actually go for mods that would give me model variations on my tanks, on my infantry, just to help break things up that way. And I liked it personally. So I mean, again, like, I do believe it can be done in Companies 3 whenever that happens, to be honest. Again, just add some bits here and there, slightly change up things. I mean, again, you don't have to make them look like a completely different unit. It's just, smaller variations, which again, could be helmets, it could be caps, it could be not wearing helmets, it could be slightly different, kit they're walking around with. I mean, those are easy ways of just, slightly, making up the unit. Or it could just be even then slightly different, might some have not even camouflage trousers in the case of the Grenadiers here, That way, it'll still be part of the overall unit, you can still identify it, but again, it just looks a bit more different, a bit more interesting. Instead of just being all the, the same clones, and again, that clone feeling, which, to an extent slightly breaks immersion, at least in my opinion. So, that's certainly been a nice thing if we could actually get that in a future Company Heroes game. I mean, it's not a huge deal, But I do think, you know, it'd be, you know, a really, really nice thing personally. And it's one thing I've honestly always wanted, and was really disappointed when they didn't do it in Campaign News 2 when they revealed it. I was really disappointed. So I kind of hope they might get around to doing it in Campaign News 3. That's just me though. So there you go, just a little Propagandacaster Addendum on that topic. What are your thoughts on model variations? Do you want more of it? Do you want less? Do you even care at all? Sound off in the comments. This is Imperial Dane signing off. See you another time for another video. Cheers.